Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for August 29th. August 29th is the 241st day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 242nd in leap years, with 124 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is prestidigitation. We'll go at this one a little differently than I usually do. Usually I give the definition and then the origin or the source of the word, and then a date if I can find one. This time, though, we'll talk about the origin of the word first. Prestidigitation has evolved from a Latin word presto, which means quick or nimble, and Latin digitus, which means finger, quick finger, or nimble finger, an excellent description of sleight of hand, so necessary in the performance of magic tricks. Another synonym for prestidigitation is legerdemain, which comes from a French phrase, legerdemain, which means light of hand. So prestidigitation is a noun that means sleight of hand or legerdemain. Magic tricks. First known use of the word prestidigitation is in 1859. Prestidigitation. The word prestidigitation was requested by one of my viewers on behalf of his students, which is awesome. If you have a word you'd like us to explore in this Word of the Day section, drop it in the comments. We'll take a look at it. And with that, copper coins were minted in Japan for the first time on August 29th in the year 708. Inspired by the Chinese coins of similar design, these were round coins with square holes in the middle, and these coins remained in circulation until 958, so about 250 years. Michael Faraday discovered electromagnetic induction on August 29, 1831. I very nearly mentioned his name yesterday when we were talking about the Carrington event. One of the many things Michael Faraday is known for is the Faraday cage. This is an enclosure used to somehow block or divert electromagnetic fields and can be a handy thing to have to protect one's electronic devices in certain situations. But today we're talking about his discovery of electromagnetic induction, which is a production of an electromagnetic force across an electrical conductor in a changing magnetic field. That complex description, by the way, is taken verbatim right out of Wikipedia, and it seems a little highfalutin to actually make sense if you don't already know what it means. So, more simply put, electromagnetic induction is the ability of a magnetic field to create current inside a conductor. See, they already knew that electrical current could produce magnetic fields, but Michael Faraday wondered if the inverse was also true. Could one use magnetic fields to produce electricity? Well, guess what? The answer is yes. He did some experiments and discovered that by fiddling with the magnetic fields in a specific way, an electrical current could indeed be produced. It's actually a fascinating phenomenon, but yes, it was on this day in 1831 that Michael Faraday discovered electromagnetic induction. This is the birthday of Charles Kettering, born August 29, 1876. He was an American inventor, engineer, and businessman. He held 186 patents. He was the head of research at General Motors from 1920 to 1947, was the founder of the automotive electronics company Delco. He was behind a lot of innovations in the automotive industry, from the Freon that made our air conditioners blow cool to the lacquers and enamels that gave those cars their pretty colors. Back in the way back, you had to start a car by using a hand crank to get it going, and that could be difficult and dangerous, besides tricky. You had to get it going and then hop in the car while it was still moving. Yikes. Anyway, Charles Kettering developed a practical electrical self-starting device for automobiles, an evolution of which is still in use today. One more thing about Charles Kettering, if that name seems familiar to you, you might have heard of the Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York City, and yes, it's named after this very Charles Kettering. We could probably spend a whole episode talking about Charles Kettering and some of his other many inventions, but perhaps another time. Charles Kettering lived to the age of 82. And it looks like a good day for discovery and invention, August 29th. On August 29th, 1885, Gottlieb Daimler patented the world's first internal combustion motorcycle, the Reitwagen. Let's see if I can pronounce this correctly. Hold on.
Reitwagen.
Reitwagen. Reitwagen.
Reitwagen.
Reitwagen. Well, in my Americanized pronunciation, Reitwagen, they called the Volkswagen a Volkswagen. Reitwagen means a riding car, like, Volkswagen means people car. Reitwagen means riding car. Although it was called a riding car, it looked and probably rode more like a motorcycle, and actually steam-powered motorcycles had been invented before, but this was the first one with an internal combustion engine. And in one more piece of automotive news, on August 29, 1898, the Goodyear Tire Company was founded. The Gemini 5 spacecraft returned to Earth, landing in the Atlantic Ocean on August 29, 1965. Today's song is War by Edwin Starr, number 1 on August 29, 1970. War was written by Norman Whitfield and Barrett Strong in 1969 as a protest song against the Vietnam War. It was actually recorded by the Temptations in March of 1970, but the group and their label were apprehensive about releasing it as a single because they didn't want to alienate their more conservative fans. It did appear on an album, though. Edwin Starr had had a mediocre career up to that point. He'd had one hit, 25 Miles, in 1968, and he volunteered to sing War. While the Temptations version was more restrained, Edwin Starr's was all in and highly produced, and it turns out to have been a good decision for him. It was the most successful and well-known song of his career and became his signature song, a runaway hit, and was number 1 for 3 weeks. War by Edwin Starr. Link in the description. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That description lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include a link to my blog page that is called No Really. And you can also find me on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Oh, get your microphone. Okay. Phone over there. Hello. Okay. With 202 days remaining to the end of the world. End of the year. Please, not the end of the world. 202 days remaining to the end of the year. Let's read that one again. Maybe I should ask Google how to pronounce that.
How do you go about pronouncing his name? Paulo Coelho.
Coelho.
Paulo Coelho. Pretty straightforward once you know. Paulo Coelho.
Google is so smart. Yep, it is. That's what it's called. All right. Attracting. Just read the whole thing over. You know what? Maybe we can leave that one off. Don't alienate people who can be helpful to you. Flinging happiness all over the place. I don't know. Can I get this edited? Let's find out. Alrighty. Back to work. I think we got it this time.